Some say Smackdown might have been a middle-of-the-road show. If you're English and Baron Corbin, you would have thought it was bitterly disappointing. If you're Scottish and Roman Reigns, you would have thought it was an absolutely fantastic show and no better performance could come out of it there. Hello and welcome to the Smack Attack Money, James McIver, alongside my partner in crime, as always, John Enright. How we doing, my man? Scotland didn't lose.
Scotland did not lose. Go ahead, cornbread. As they say down here, go ahead, cornbread. All right, I know. Yeah, that was good. I actually kind of, relished in that a little bit. But,
the actual stress of watching that game last night. I was like, nothing will prepare you for it. There's absolutely nothing in this earth. I mean, I was talking to my friend, right? England has played in the Euros, by the way, if you didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a group game, and we had to get something out of this game, otherwise we're gone. We're out of the Euros. So to get a draw out, that was fantastic. It's a team who was arguably one of the favourites for the competition. Mm-hmm. But when it's Scotland and England, it's the oldest fixture ever. It's the most played fixture. It's the oldest game of football between two nations ever. 1894, I believe, 1874 was the game, I think it was. It started off. And it is a tense rivalry to this day. Like, no one gets along with that one. We want winners. So you watch this and it's just stress because it doesn't matter if it's like an international competition. It doesn't matter if it's a friendly. It doesn't matter if you're playing five-a-side. It doesn't matter if it's a packet of chewing gum up for grabs. I fucking want it. I want to win. I don't want England to have it. So that is our mentality every time. So
right.
Have this game last night was great. I had a great performance. Everyone, all to a man, we were the better side. I thought we're missing a goal. It was all we're missing. We didn't get the goal, unfortunately, but it was fun. And it made up for us losing on Monday to the Czech Republic, which is a pish start to the tournament. I wasn't up for that. That was a letdown and a half.
I was surprised y'all lost to the Czech Republic. Honestly.
Me too.
That was one that I was not expecting.
It didn't help that David Marshall was literally 30 yards off his line. Don't know what he was doing then. Did you see the goal for that one? Where he hit it from the halfway line and it just storms in.
Yeah. I did see that. I think they showed it again on SportsCenter as one of the plays of the week or whatever, and I was just going,
Stephen A. Smith was losing his fucking mind over it. And as an MMA fan and a football fan, you can tell I was bitter about it. I was like, this guy is talking pish about Scotland. And this guy talks pish about MMA all the time. Why? So I wasn't happy. I was just like, why am I watching this shit? But it was fine. I mean, you guys have got the Copa America going on, haven't you?
Yeah, we do. We and I mean, honestly, the Copa is right now it's one of those things where it's just a matter of, is the USA going to be able to make it? Really, more than anything else. We know we're going to make it, but how close is it going to be? Because the last few years, it's actually been really close if we were going to make it or not. Because we've got Argentina, we've got Mexico. That's always a massive rivalry between each other. And so we're not anywhere near Argentina. Honestly, it's a fight for Mexico because Mexico is always really good.
Yeah.
And so then you got just sometimes these South American or Central American teams will come out of nowhere on you and just have a great run. And then all of a sudden you're going, are we going to make this? And that's been the hard part with the Copa is, we're trying to get our players situated, really right now we've got a lot of new players. And so it's
a young team. It's a young team you've got coming in.
Very young team. And, guys playing together for the first time and, trying to get that all gelled and put together. God, they can't keep coaches worth of crap up here. It's one of those things where if we don't make it, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't think that, not that, because there's a lot of factors stacked against us between the young team not playing together, another new coach. Let's just see what we can get this year. That's honestly where I'm at right now is, let's just see what we can get because I don't see it being pretty, so far. But I know we played two games. We had a B team and an A team game, and we won both. So that's encouraging, if nothing else. That the guys are starting to get it together. So The Copa is always fun because, I mean, honestly, watching Latin, soccer is just a ton of fun.
Yeah.
So,
you're in the Copa America, aren't you?
Are we not?
I don't know. I'm just looking at the groups here. Group B, Group A, Group B. I've only got Group A and Group B here. What's that about? I thought America were in the. I thought America were in this. There's only two groups. 2 groups of 4.
I don't even know. Yeah, maybe it's just South America and Central America. I don't know.
I don't know. So you've got Brazil, Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador in Group B. In Group A is Argentina, Chile, Paraguay, and Bolivia. God, I thought it was a bigger tournament. I always thought it was bigger because you have like Mexico, America. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's what it is. So this is all South American teams. So
okay.
The Copa America is for all South America teams, and then the United States plays like Mexico, Canada, Caribbean teams, all that kind of stuff. Which is why we end up getting in half the time.
So it's like split up into like 2.
Yeah.
The CONCACAF, that's what you're in. You're in the CONCACAF.
Yeah, we're on the CONCACAF. Yeah. So this is like the big dogs knocking the crap out of each other, and then and then we just kind of skate in. But like anytime we, I mean, really, we're fortunate. But anytime we play like Brazil or Colombia or Argentina or Chile, we get our ass handed to us because I mean, it's just you play for the national team. That's the whole thing. Like Messi is, he's Argentina first. And so that's the whole point.
He's all got like 2 tournaments in him as well. He's got this and then the World Cup next year, and that'll be
Yeah.
You'd be determined to get something out of this.
Yeah, and especially when he's on the back end like this, he's got to get, something taken care of. So, it's just, it'll be interesting to see here how this all plays out. So like right now, I think Brazil is on top. They've got 2 wins, and Argentina's got a win and a draw with Chile. And,
Chile's a quietly good team, by the way.
Yeah, no, they are.
Quality players.
They do. They always do. That's the whole point. Chile has always had a really good team. It's usually the top 4 usually is Chile, Brazil, Colombia, and Argentina. Yeah, those are always usually the top teams. And then Venezuela will sneak in there and everything like that. So the Copa is a fun one. I mean, you get lots of people in there doing all kinds of stuff. So I don't know, man. Soccer, that's the one thing about soccer, man. You never know what's going to happen.
I love this game.
That's the great thing about it.
Hungary drew with France. Famous for the tournament, drew with Hungary today. Like,
good. What? I'm glad.
Unbelievable. I love this game for that sometimes. Like that's the first like proper what we'd call an upset. Despite being a Scotland fan, everyone would say Scotland drawing with England might have been an upset, but it was not because England were shit against Jamaica, and they showed themselves as weak against us. So I'll play for on Tuesday on our end. But no, I love like international tournaments because it gets everyone involved. You can have like your club football and people are just like, I don't watch football, don't bother, whatever. But as soon as like your flag is up there on the international stage and the world can watch it for free as well, you're not having to pay for it. It's on like regular broadcast TV. Everyone's up for it. And it's great. It's a great time. It's a great atmosphere. So when you're part of the party, it's brilliant. So it's nice to kind of be involved and watch that stuff. So international football is always fun. But unfortunately, we don't get to talk about international football for 2 hours today.
Oh, yeah.
We have to talk a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, it's fun. Like you said, honestly, it's hilarious. Nobody gives a shit about U.S. soccer until it's the Olympics and the World Cup. And that's the only thing.
America and the Olympic football teams, by the way, they have a great run. They are dark horses all the time. All the time. Because I always quietly fancy them along with Brazil. Usually Brazil's like a favorite for me.
Oh yeah, Brazil.
Especially that weird season where it was the London games where they decided anyone can play for their clubs at international level for this one. So you had like Neymar caught about for Brazil, Messi, and Argentina. Like, come on, guys. It's supposed to be academy players. What are you doing? So you've got players that are like 18, 19 that have just coming through, and then you've got like the greatest footballer ever hanging free kicks in. It just wasn't fair. But it's. Oh, sorry. I'll let you go.
I said, but that's actually I think good though, because you're getting that mixture of the veterans being able to teach these young guys a little bit.
Yeah.
I think so. It's important, I think, to have that aspect of it. So, and it's one of those things that, yeah. I mean, it's the soccer culture is growing. I mean, we have the Dallas Cup here every year. A lot of international teams come here to Dallas, and we host a lot of teams, and I think it's under 18 tournaments, and it's a lot of fun.
And you guys have started doing scholarships at universities, much like you do for NFL players or American football players, which is
they do. And then I mean, some of these club teams now are hiring kids for their club teams. They're doing kind of like you guys are doing. So like in the MLS here, the FC Dallas, they've got a FC Dallas club team, and basically
they're on academy as well.
Yeah, they're on academy. So I mean, you can get some good kids up in here playing some, really good soccer for your club. And, the MLS is a good show. I'm telling you, if you get a chance to get a ticket to if you come to Dallas, get an FC Dallas ticket, man. They put on a great show. I mean, parking is inexpensive. You drive up to Frisco. They've got a great stadium, great atmosphere, tons of fun. It is probably, it's a good old time up there. Yeah. The other place I want to go to that looks a ton of fun is Seattle and Portland. They put on some fun, like their teams might suck balls, but they have tons, like Portland. Anytime they score, they got a guy who chops off from a log.
Oh, he cuts like a big log. He's got a giant. That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
a big saw, like a 2-man saw, and he's just like, shoom.
Yeah, and that's when they score a goal. They do that. I mean, it's just the bits and everything. In Seattle, they have a walk, with the fans and everybody. Drew Carey owns the Seattle team, and he walks with the fans to the stadium for the games. I mean, it's cool, some of the stuff that some of these places are doing. So, and if you want to shit on soccer, go ahead. But man, you're missing out on one of the best sports that are out there, really.
Well, speaking of, here it is there. How do you feel being as an Arsenal fan in America reading that?
I can't, man.
just throwing that out there. John is an Arsenal fan.
Yes,
so
yes.
There is some knowledge in the game.
Yeah. So I mean, like I loved that. I think it was a James Corden bit where they made this like really shitty statue of him. And this guy's trying to sell it to him, and he's just like getting real pissed about it.
He is so happy
because like his chin looks all jacked up, and he's got a big old ass, and all that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, that beer snake gimmick. DC United. Yeah, like chugging beer from like the upper deck all the way down. That was awesome.
You guys. Oh, have you seen this guy? I think he's from New York. And he's like the American hooligan. He's like trying to be like an Italian ultra or like a Chelsea like diehard fan cutting about, like having all these like chants, getting pissed, trying to start fights with the opposing team's fans. It's like this stuff is just, I'm here for it. I'm not a big fan of that culture, but when a guy's trying to like introduce it,
right,
it's like, all right, okay, I'm here for this. I'm here to see how this falls flat in his face. And he cuts about with his shirt off all the time. I don't even know what team he supports. I think he just cuts about to different games and just takes
right. But there's football fans that do that kind of shit too. I mean, like, it's 2 degrees outside and they're rolling around with no shirts at like a Buffalo Bills game, which is the most miserable place you could probably be. It's just, but yeah, I think that's the whole point of the game, is like, that's part of like, it's a bucket list thing for me, is I want to go to an Arsenal game and just hear the cheers and the chants and, the different things that they've got going and the bits that they got going at a EPL game, just the crowd around you and, just the songs and everything, there's a whole culture with it. And so that's what makes it, I think, a lot of fun, especially for an outsider who's watching the game. It really, it's a different level. It is on the level of NFL fans, if not even more so. So, which, man, I love being passionate about sports like that. So it's good stuff. Yeah. So
it's an entertainment game sometimes watching fans. It's just, it's brilliant. You can get a good fan support that's got banter or got something about them. Gab's got a perfect example: the yellow wall for Dustin.
Oh yeah,
it is an absolute sight. I'd put that there. My other one's Poznan. Gretchen Poznan in Poland. They do like when they score, they turn their backs, all of them, and they just start jumping arm in arm.
Oh, there you go.
It is an absolute sight to behold. Celtic tried to do it for a while, it just didn't work.
Nah.
But it was brilliant for that there. But shall we move on?
Yes, I guess we should.
I believe you've got a friend here with us.
I do. I do. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we have a special guest today, as we talked about last week. We have I guess I would call him a local Texas legend, up and coming on the scene here. He is the owner, promoter, man that just takes care of it all.
All the hats.
Wears all the hats at New Texas Pro Wrestling. And on top of all that, he is a wrestler himself. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you the Sheriff, Kiefer Bartek.
What's going on, guys? How we
doing? How we doing?
I apologize for being late. We have a show tomorrow, so I have been doing some last minute promoting here, and man, I'm sorry to keep you guys waiting.
No, you're good.
You're cool. You're good.
We were talking soccer for a good bit.
I heard that. I was like, wow, we're really talking football here tonight.
Yeah. Oh, hey, you called it properly. Look at that.
It's my life.
so Kiefer, you said you've got a show coming up. Where is your show at? Let's put that out there first. So if people want to watch it, or if they want to see it, how can they do that?
Our show coming up tomorrow is in Abilene, Texas. Let me take these off real quick. And it's the first time we've been in Abilene since 2019. It's where I'm born and raised. It's kind of where we got our start as far as running bigger shows and drawing good crowds. And like I said, it's my hometown, so I always have a special place in my heart for it. And tomorrow's going to be just an insane show. I mean, we have Jake something from Impact Wrestling on there. We have Gino Medina from MLW, Mike Bennett, Ring of Honor star. He's been everywhere. On top of all the great Texas talent that we usually have on all of our shows too. So tomorrow is going to be our biggest show we've ever ran in Abilene, and I'm pumped for it. I'm in a street fight as well, facing Johnny Bedlam. So I'm excited about it. My plate is full tomorrow.
Yeah. So on top of promoting, owning, and all that sort of stuff, you are a wrestler. So tell us let's start with the wrestling part of it before we go into the owning part of it. How did your wrestling journey start? Because a lot of our fans might not know. They're not as familiar with Texas wrestling as I am. Yeah. So how did you get into wrestling? What was your start? What was it that made you go, I'm going to do this?
I got in pretty decent shape. I lost like 75, 80 pounds and it was like 2012, 2013. And so, wrestling has always been my passion. It's something that I've always just loved from the first time I saw it. So I wanted to give it a real go. I was 24 at the time. I moved down to Houston to train with Booker T there at Reality Wrestling. And man, it was a great move, great camp in Houston. Book is amazing. And man, it was a big, moving, people don't realize how big Texas is. I moved from Lubbock to Houston, which was about a 9-hour drive, 9.5-hour drive. And you're still in the same state. But, I knew a couple of people in Houston, and like I said, it's just crazy how far it's come since I moved there in 2014.
So what's it like training under someone like Booker T, 5-time world champ, tons of tag team championships, probably one of the more decorated wrestlers in history between WCW, WWE, Hall of Famer. What's that like? To sit under a tree like that.
Man, I when you first meet him, he's larger than life, and he's he's as over the top and entertaining as he is in real life as he is on TV. It's just, Book is a great guy, and you learn very quickly there. A lot of people refer to it as like the college of pro wrestling school, because you have Book there. You have a lot of other guys that come in that are WWE guys that just come in to train a little bit. And Bruce Pritchard was there to help, and he helped run a lot of the shows there at Reality Wrestling for 3 or 4 years before he got signed by WWE or went back to WWE, and just because he wanted something to do. And it was really cool to learn from Bruce and learn from Book. And I don't know if you could put a price tag on all that, but it definitely helped us in what we're doing with New Texas for sure.
Yeah. So you said you learned under Bruce. So was you learning under him? Did you know that you at one point wanted to have your own company and run, kind of, or did it just kind of fall into your lap?
No. I mean, I really didn't want to, promote was never really my dream. I always wanted to be a wrestler. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to run shows in West Texas, and there just really wasn't a great scene in West Texas. Myself, Max Heights, and Terrell Tempo were 3 West Texas guys. So we kind of came together just to form New Texas, just to run some shows in front of our friends and family that, don't want to make the trip to Houston or San Antonio or Austin or, some of the other big cities.
Or Dallas.
Or Dallas, because it's a long drive. And
yeah.
It's a lot to ask of people. It's easier to bring it to them as opposed to the other way around. And I mean, once it all started taking off and everybody was, the fans wanted us to come back and the boys were, excited and wanted to work again. It just all started to go. And then, I know social media a little bit better than, Terrell and Michael, or Terrell and Max, excuse me. And, so I just kind of took the reins, and, it just kind of took off from there.
Cool. So I guess my next question is, when are you going to run a show in Weatherford so I don't have to drive to Dallas or Fort Worth or Abilene? I mean, I'm a lazy son of a gun.
It is.
Man, that's a good point. I remember driving through Weatherford, and the high school was always just gigantic.
Yeah.
Off of I-20. And or maybe it's 30. I don't know what it took.
I-20. Yeah, no, 20.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're right past us going towards Dallas, Fort Worth, and Aledo is where the split happens.
Yeah.
So.
And it just I don't even know if anybody's ever really ran Weatherford. I don't think so. And I mean, that's a good place. I actually live in the DFW area now. I live in Denton. So we're kind of looking to do something out this way anyways, because I don't want to run out. There's a lot of good promotions out here. I don't want to run on top of them, but to find my own place out here and to find my own place in time, I think that's something that I'm trying to do, because driving to Abilene and driving to Houston, it can be trying, especially when you're just trying to run a show. So
yeah. So what would you say is your biggest struggle when you're trying to promote a show? In general, I mean, whether it's Houston, Abilene, whatever. I know you've done some big shows. I think weren't you involved in some WrestleMania stuff this year? Yep. What's your biggest struggle when you do some of that stuff?
I think every show, every market kind of presents its own problems. It's not easy to promote in a city you don't live in general. You got to have a lot of help from people who are out there and people who are on the show and willing to help. I would say maybe that's probably the most challenging thing, is just trying to, I could promote as much as possible on social media, but sometimes, passing out flyers and posters and things like that is the best way to, get your audience or get your crowd to come out. And not being there all the time, I do try to make trips and things like that to do that type of marketing or that type of advertising as well. But yeah, I think that's probably the most challenging thing. When we ran in Tampa this year, it was like I didn't have a car. It was a different state. I didn't know how the people were going to react to it. It turned out great, but you do get those nerves and that uncertainty. I think we've run in like 8 or 9 markets, mainly in Texas. But every time you're just like, I don't know if people are going to show up or what's the case. So it's challenging. Yeah, it's always challenging.
So if people want to watch any of your shows, is there like a place online they could watch? Like, are you with ITV or anything like that?
Yeah, IWTV. We partnered with them last year, and they've just been fantastic to us. It's kind of, when we first got on there, we were maybe more of a local Texas show, or more just like predominantly Texas show. And now that we've run some shows with some names on it, and WrestleMania or whatnot, and they've given us a chance to broadcast it on a larger scale to many wrestling fans across the world. And we also have a YouTube channel that we do upload our individual matches on as well, and we get a lot of good traffic on that as well. I mean, that's just something that continues to grow. But yeah, IWTV and YouTube. I mean, you can really check out the IWTV, the shows. All the shows are there. You can kind of check out the flow of a show from beginning to end. And then the matches, if you just want to watch, look at somebody, Roxy or Max Heights or Mysterious Q or Brian Keith or whatever, one of our guys, that's the place to go.
Cool. Now I know you've had people, bigger names too, like Kylie Ray or people like that. What's that like for you as a promoter? Like how does that process work a little bit? Like, do you just call them up and say, "Hey, I've got the show. You want to come join it?" Or what's that process like?
Well, Kylie's a good friend of mine. She trained with us here in Houston for a couple of years. That's how I know her. And I think maybe Chris Bay might have been the first person I really didn't know personally. It was actually before he was even signed with Impact.
Right.
We had a guy, Q. He was like, "You gotta check this guy out in Vegas. He's phenomenal," which he is, and he's really shown that on a bigger scale now. But it's just one of the things where either I know them personally, or we have a friend that knows, or somebody that knows them. And honestly, a lot of people have reached out to us this year and have really wanted to come work with us and come down to Texas. And I think that's really cool too, when you see a lot of the names that a lot of the indie darlings or what have you that reach out to you and say like, "I want to be on your show. How do I do this?" kind of thing. And I think that's an indication that we're doing something right here in Texas.
Right. So, and you've talked about, we have a lot of really great talent that are starting to make a name for themselves. Guys like Chandler Hopkins, who are showing up on AEW. Yeah. Lance kind of paved the way. Lance Archer, paved the way. And then obviously we're seeing Chandler. Yeah. We're seeing Will Alday. We're seeing Cam Cole. We're seeing a lot of these guys, which I think you've even had some experience either wrestling or training with, or they've been on your shows. Who is somebody that is like getting ready to break out that we need to be looking for on the Texas scene that you as a promoter, as a wrestler, have experienced? Somebody along those lines.
I think, man, all those names you said are great. I could really go on for maybe like an hour just talking about guys in Texas. I think the guy right now is Brian Keith, man, the bounty hunter. He's sponsored by Swisha House, which is a major label in Houston. It was a major part of the hip hop scene in the early 2000s. So he has a song. His entrance music is "Still Tippin'" by Mike Jones and Slim Thug and Paul Wall, and he can legally use that anywhere he goes. And man, the way that Houston has, and not just Houston, but online. He worked Darius Lockhart For the Culture in Tampa, and he's going to be at GCW in Dallas in July as well. I mean, he's just been on fire. He faced Lee Moriarty, had a great back and forth with Moriarty. He faced Ruben Steele in a no holds barred match. It was pretty much a death match, and he stepped up to the plate. And I think as far as just being versatile and just having it, man, he's just a bad dude. He's cool as hell, and like I said, everybody's just like, "I want to work with Brian Keith." This is the guy kind of thing. So he's the guy, in my opinion, right now that everyone needs to pay attention to.
Yeah. All right. So y'all heard it here first. If you the next breakout star to come out of Texas is going to be Brian Keith. So y'all need to be checking his stuff out. He's a really good wrestler. I've seen him a lot. I do a lot of VIP shows because Lou and I are friends, and and it's closer than Abilene a little bit. So,
I love the VIP. VIP has a great show coming up next Friday on my birthday.
Yeah, I'm going. It's going to be
insane.
fun.
I'm looking at that card. I'm like, man.
Yeah,
from top to bottom, it's great.
Yeah, I mean the main event is JTG versus EC3 for the championship. I mean, and we're gonna have. I mean, it's just gonna be a banger of a match. Different people. We got some great Texas talent mixing with some great indie. The Fatu brothers are gonna be there.
Yeah,
Jacob is bringing Journey.
I've worked with Fatu at Books before.
Oh, really?
And he's like a generational talent, man. He's just so good. And them and Fly Def it's gonna be fantastic as well.
Oh yeah.
Q, who's our champion right now, he's facing Super Beast, who's a West Coast guy. That's gonna be insane. I mean, like just like Lou does a great job, and he knows what he's doing there at VIP.
Yeah, so if you get a chance to check that out, man, it's a great show. But yeah, I mean, so all right. So as a promoter, as a wrestler, is there a match you don't want to do?
Is there a match that I don't want to do?
Mm-hmm.
I would say for the most part, man, like there's a time and place pretty much for everything, and I don't know if there's anything that I'm just completely glossing over. I'm sure there's something that I just hate, but I think for the most part, there's a time and place for pretty much every type of wrestling. It just has to make sense for me, and I think that's and just not be like a card of repetitive, death match or intergender stuff or whatever the case may be. It's just it's got to be special and it's got to be meaningful. And I can't even think of anything off the top of my head. I'm sure there's something I'm forgetting, but like I said, if it makes sense, then and you're not overdoing it, then I think there's a time and place for everything.
So is that hard to balance a card then when you're creating a card for a new Texas Pro Wrestling show? Is that hard to balance it? Because somebody might say, well, I don't want to do that kind of match, or this is what I'm looking for. Is it hard to kind of keep from being like single match heavy or tag team? Is it hard to balance something like that as you're creating it? Because I mean, I am a fan. I just sit there and I watch, and I'm enjoying the show. And then so when we talk about Smackdown, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes we complain about things being repetitive. But how hard is that to build a match for people? And you're doing it monthly, right?
Yeah,
So,
I mean, we've got 2 shows coming up within 7 days of each other, something like that. So, but I guess there's kind of an art to it. Just for the flow of the shows itself, you don't want to have 6 singles matches back to back, all finishing in disqualification or whatever. You want to make sure that you have a good mix of good guys and bad guys winning, and just have the flow of the show keep up the whole time. I mean, like I said, I play to our strengths of who we have on the show. So if an Aaron Mercer or Great Scott want to do a hardcore match, they're both from the heavy metal camp, and they do a lot of hardcore stuff out that way. They're very comfortable doing it. Sometimes I actually have to rear them back and be like, hey, we don't need all of that for this one. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I just try to play to our strengths, and I try to make sure everyone's on a platform that they can be successful. And it does take time. It takes time to learn how to do that as a promoter and a booker.
Yeah. So I know I've been talking about James, my partner. He's from Scotland. I know he had a couple of questions. So
yeah, well, I was just curious when you were asking about what it's like to plan a card and organizing it. Now, of course, you're working tomorrow night. You've got a match on.
Yeah.
So, what's that like for you when you're actually on the card working a match and you've got all of the organizing, all the planning going on? What's that on the night? What's that like for you? Do you have a way of managing it? Do you have other people take over the reins at times when you're working, or are you just full on from the minute you get to the arena to the end of the day? Are you just all over the place? Are you kind of filling all the gaps as much as you can?
Man, I always I say as far as what I do as a promoter, like the wrestling portion is for myself is probably the least important thing I do of the day. So, I've had times where I was in the main event one time in my hometown, and we were putting over the heel champion or whatever, and it was after an admission, and I'm running guerrilla, I'm making sure everything's taken care of and running smoothly, and taking care of fans and whatnot from the jump. And my opponent walks up to me. He's like, "Hey, man, I was like, are we gonna talk about this at all, or are we just gonna go out there and just wing it?"
Call in the ring. Call in the ring.
But I've been working long enough. I'm not afraid to do that. If that makes sense, I'm not afraid to go out there and just call stuff or whatever and out there. But yeah, I mean, sometimes my opponents get a little frustrated with me because I'm trying to do everything that I can to make the show run good, and at the end of the day, I still have a match to do. It's funny because the really only other person in Texas that I know who does that is Lou.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it a little bit, and it's not for the weak of heart. But it takes a certain type of person to be able to do it, and me and Lou are two of those type of people who can run a show and also put on a great match. And yeah, man, it's more work. I try not to do it as much as I used to when we first started, because I really don't have to anymore. But you know, I would rather not if I had a choice. But being in my hometown, I've got a lot of people coming out to watch me. So
Yeah. That's pretty interesting. The other thing I was going to ask you was, of course, you're in a street fight
yes.
against Johnny Bedlam, and I've always been fascinated by this, that how wrestlers can do hardcore matches or just jump into street fights and things like that, and keep on trucking, like quite the thing. Like, what goes through your mind? How do you prepare for something like this? Because obviously that's quite a painful experience for the length of the match. Is there just a way that you've prepared yourself, or how you work it? Like, I don't want to like completely peel back the curtain too much, but like, how do you mentally prepare yourself to go through what you're about to go through in a match like that?
Have you taken any rolls or bumps in a ring? I'm not.
Not too many. I've done some MMA training in jiu-jitsu. That's probably the extent of my ability there.
I've done some jiu-jitsu as well. And I just, everything that we do in the ring doesn't feel great, if that makes sense. So I think it's when you first go through training and stuff like that, you kind of you work your way through that type of stuff. As far as like the you know, like the pain, like it's gonna suck,
Yeah.
But mentally you've already passed that because of all the training and stuff that you do initially. As far as the street fight is concerned, you know, it's just a different way to showcase stuff you can do. But you know, it is painful, but it's like I said, you do it for the entertainment, and you just take care of yourself. You take care of the other person, and you know, you're not going to walk away without any bumps and bruises and probably some blood or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, we're trained professionals, and that's kind of what we prepare ourselves for, as long as we're taking care of each other.
Yeah. All right. So I know you have a show tomorrow, and then you got another show 7 days. So you know, I don't want to keep you if you don't want to, but we'd love to have you on to get your perspective on SmackDown if you want. But if you have to do other things, we understand that too. So I want to
give him an out there. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm giving him out. I don't blame you. You know, but you know, if you want to stick around, we would love to have your perspective on SmackDown.
I just have a question. You know, I try to keep up with wrestling the best I can, but I can't recall there ever being a Hell in a Cell match on a SmackDown.
There hasn't. That was the first time.
First time.
I know there was a little bit of build. You know, I know he took out Dominic and things like that, but it just felt like it just kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know if I just haven't been paying attention as I should.
No, you're right.
Spot on.
You're spot on.
This escalated within the space of 2 weeks.
Okay, all right. I wanted to make sure that I was like, I know he was feuding with, you know, with Cesaro for a little bit, and then Daniel Bryan and Edge before that. But I was just like, well, I know he's facing Rey at Hell in a Cell, which is a pay-per-view coming up. Or he's not facing Rey anymore at Hell in a Cell.
Right, because they moved it up to Friday.
Okay. Yeah. Are they not wrestling at Hell in a Cell now, or
apparently not?
They cut it. They got rid of it. So like so Reigns doesn't work in the show. It's like
very confused, and I was like, I enjoyed the match. I thought it was really good and stuff, but I'm sitting there like, first of all, I can't recall there ever being a Hell in a Cell on SmackDown, so that's just weird in its own right, I guess.
Yeah, they've done it on Raw. They've done it on Raw. I know that.
Yeah.
And especially the go home show before the branded Hell in a Cell show.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, like that's the whole thing. The booking didn't make any sense to me when we're going. Okay, like I get it. Ray is so pissed that Dominic's hurt that he's just he wants. Roman, but it felt like they screwed up at some point, and they go, "Oh shit, we got to get rid of a match. Let's just put Roman and Rey on SmackDown, and we'll use this as our pre-show."
I mean, like I said, it felt like it came out of nowhere. I've always been a believer, like Hell in a Cell, man. It's the last thing, like Batista, Triple H, Vengeance 05 or whatever. Like that's what I've always envisioned Hell in a Cell being. So I've just not liked the idea of just running a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view to run a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view without like a blow off in a feud, and it's always been weird for me. Like Lockdown was always weird for teenagers because we're gonna run all cage matches. I think like those matches got to be like I said, they got to be like a blow off or something that's meaningful. It's weird now, man. I'm not trying to crap on it because I know that Roman is doing fantastic stuff and he'll work and stuff like that. But like I said, just that stuff just is kind of weird to me now. I don't know when and how all that stuff started, but it just seems like it's getting worse and worse.
Well, here's the problem. Okay, so they had scheduled last week that they were going to be at Hell in a Cell, Ray versus Roman, because he was just really mad at it. Then a tweet before the show even happened. So a tweet came out, I think, midday yesterday that said for the first time ever, a Hell in a Cell match is going to be on SmackDown. And I'm going, what?
That's not even the strangest part. It's that. But then when they did SmackDown this week, they acted like it wasn't even announced yet.
Right. Yeah. So they acted like they didn't put the tweet out saying that there's going to be a Hell in a Cell match because Ray said, I know we're supposed to meet at Hell in a Cell, but I want to do it right now. And so it's like, like I'm going, what did I miss? I watched last week. I watched and I saw that tweet and I'm going, okay. And then they go, I'm going, weird, so like the story for me was just kind of, like, I don't understand anymore. I don't understand anymore.
The only thinking I've got out of this, because they were like, they don't want Reigns working on this card, so why book in the first place? My only thinking is because AEW was on the same time last night, that he wanted something to try and drag in viewers to keep viewers on their show. I mean, Jake Hager in an MMA fight's not going to keep them, so I don't know what to do. That's harsh. That is harsh, but his record's a bit padded for my liking.
I guess I can see maybe if you're trying to make sure AEW gets another $500,000 or whatever it is. But I said it just felt weird and rushed, and like I said, I enjoyed the match. I try my best not to do just crap on stuff or whatever. Right. I enjoyed Nakamura and the crown thing. I think that's cool. I like Otis's new look and what he's got going on. It's just kind of, it's bold. It's different, but I mean, I like. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to run through like all the talking.
No.
There are some good things on the show too. I don't want to just say like that was just weird and out of place.
Right. Well, since we've already talked about the main event, let's do that first. Then, so as a worker, from your perspective as a wrestler, you said it was a good match. What made it a good match for you watching it? I mean, other than Ray is the human lawn dart. I mean, that dude just finds ways to be used as a human lawn dart all the time. But for you, when you're like, because like for me, I liked it, but it was just violence. I'm a fan. I don't understand a philosophy of a match. So you tell me why you thought it was good from your perspective as a wrestler.
I think that Ray is just the ultimate underdog, and every time he wrestles, he's gonna get thrown around, and he's gonna look like he's doesn't have a stand a chance, and then he does some amazing stuff, and you're like, okay, cool. And Roman, as far as his heel work, is just it's been top. It's been great. I can't wait for the crowds to come back because I want them to. They're probably gonna cheer him now, which is just annoying, but. I'm ready to see how they, how they receive him or how they, like I said, they're probably going to cheer him, but hopefully, they give it to him because he's done great work, over the pandemic and everything. But like I said, it's just two guys who can work and they know what they're doing. And, you got the Hell in a Cell and it's a red cage. I mean, that's is what it is, but yeah, I mean, it's like you up the violence, you up the carnage in the match, and like I said, it just worked. It worked with those two guys.
So, by the way, this is another question I meant to ask you. Being AEW is coming to Texas first, and WWE is coming to Texas, will you be kind of trying to brother your way into maybe being an extra or something like that?
No, I've done my extra work with WWE before. I don't think I'm going to be doing anything backstage or the extra on either of those. I wish them the best. Coming to Texas is probably a smart idea for them because these fans have been waiting for a long time, and there's the regulations here in Texas have been loose, you could say, for a long time. So, I mean. I won't be at any of those places, but I'm sure a lot of my friends will be there.
Yeah. So, which I'm good friends with Barrett Brown. So, in case James, you didn't know this, Barrett's a local Texas wrestler, big on New Japan Strong right now. Mm-hmm. He was the guy that the Dudley Boys put through the table at the Hall of Fame speak.
Oh yeah,
that's Barrett.
So the guy was like, "Go wrap this up, guys."
Yeah.
And then they just
they put him through the table. Yeah. So so Barrett's a good friend of mine. Chandler Hopkins is a good friend of mine. So which was hilarious when Lance had him last week. I've seen Lance choke champ Chandler like at least 6 times. And every time it gets better. Every time, Chandler he takes that choke slam like a champ. In the blackout like a champ. It's very cool for me to see, people that I know that I'm friends or get to know. So that's why I was wondering, because I was like, I'm gonna keep an eye out for Kiefer this week. Maybe he pops up.
I've done it a couple of times. First off, Barrett and Chandler are both amazing talent. I love those guys. But I've done it a couple of times. The first time I was a Rosebud back in the day there for Adam Rose. And then I did a segment in Houston at Elimination Chamber. I guess it was a couple of years ago now. And Becky Lynch came out and beat the tar out of Charlotte and Ronda Rousey with her crutches. And we ran down to security and escorted her out of the building or whatever the case may be. And I remember she was wailing on Charlotte and Ronda with these crutches. And Finley's the one putting the segment together.
Right.
And so I'm like, are you sure you don't want us to like take a couple of shots from the crutches? Because, the crowd's hot, everybody's hot, and he was like, no. He's like, you don't have to do anything like that. Just go out there and, take it to the back kind of thing. And it was really cool, man. You could feel the electricity. I mean, that was when she was on fire and Ronda was there and Charlotte and everything. It was a really cool moment. And I had friends there in Houston that were like, like pointing like, oh, look, there's Kiefer and there's stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, I've had my moments with the extra work, and it's been a lot of fun. And like I said, I'm sure you'll see a lot of familiar faces when they come through Texas. Both.
Yeah. What's that process like? What is that? How do you go about being an extra? Do you just, hey, do they put out a call saying we need people? Somebody who knows somebody, kind of thing.
They have a website that you can go on. Luckily I wrestle or I train under Booker T, and he's just like, hey, these guys are going to be there, and that's kind of how
wow. That's cool. When you got that pull, I guess that's pretty cool.
The 2 times I went, Booker's like, do you want to go? And I said, of course I do. And I mean, that's pretty much all that was. I'm not on any website or anything like that. And I most of the guys that I know now in the Texas scene have gone through that process. So
right, yeah. So all right. I guess do you have some time to stick around and talk Smackdown?
Yeah.
Okay,
let's talk about it.
All right. Let's do that. Let's start. James is our kind of our master of ceremonies. He usually leads us through the process of that. Oh, and by the way, the other person I do want to shout out, who's also a friend, Will Allday. If you guys have not checked out Will Allday, another local Texas talent, he was on AEW recently. Facing Rusev, or whatever he's calling himself now. I don't remember. Miro. Dude is an incredible talent. So he actually helped get my dad into wrestling. My dad always thought it was fake. He's like, why are you watching that fake crap? Just kind of whatever. And so we're at a show near my dad's birthday, a VIP show a while back, and Will's there, and it's him and Cam. They were on a tag team, and he looks at my dad because I'd met Will earlier. And he goes, hey, Mr. David, happy birthday. And he kicks the guy in the face. My dad's just like, so cool. And then the one of the board breaks in the ring. And so my dad's a mechanic and an engineer he's on gas business, 45 years, mechanic engineer. And so he is now fascinated by how the ring works, like how they put together. And so he's just like, I'm like, there's like guys trying to pull the boards out and put new boards in. And he's like sticking his head in there like he's working. I'm like, Dad, get away from the board. Let them work, It stopped down the show for about 20 minits. And, but which is, and we didn't care. We were having a good time. And like from that point forward, he's into it, the whole thing, because it's his birthday. So guys are telling him happy birthday. I think that was the one Lance and Barrett were wrestling each other for the VIP championship. And, Gino and Lord Pinder were facing each other, and they were all over the place. And they threw Pinder threw Gino into the chairs that we were sitting in, and almost hit my dad. My dad's like, "Yeah, get him, Pinder!" Like he was just, So from this point forward, my dad keeps going, "Hey, when are we gonna go watch wrestling again? And he lives out in Tyler, so so he'll drive the 3 hours to come for a show for VIP because he's just like, totally into it. So yeah. So we're So
Method.
that was just a funny reminder that Will did that kind of stuff for it. So
Will's God, there's so much charisma with that guy. It's insane, and he's just I don't know if I've ever personally seen anybody rise up through the ranks so quickly, because he started, a few years after me, and I say he's pretty much everywhere now, in Texas and even further than that. So I mean, he's a great guy. If you want to be like, hey, I think this guy could be the next one to make it out of Texas. I mean, Will Alday is a great pick on that one.
He really is. Hey, I compared. He's got that Shawn Michaels charisma. He really does. He really does. All right, James, take us to the tops. Tell us what we're doing.
Smackdown starts in a way you didn't think it would start. You would have thought not Roman Reigns would normally start the show, but it did not go that way. Rey Mysterio came out and decided to get himself in the cage inside Hell in a Cell for some weird reason. But I suppose it makes sense as the show goes on. He recaps what happens last week. The attack on Roman Reigns to Dominic, where Roman Reigns threw Dominic, as Ray describes, as a bunch of bricks, just like a bag of bricks. I don't know if you've lifted a bag of bricks. It's quite heavy, so I don't know what that's saying about Dominic. But anyway, he talks about Dominic getting thrown like a bag of bricks all the way to the floor from the ring. You'll never forget the sound or the helpless look on Dominic's eyes, and it was such like a very dramatic, kind of cheesy promo in a way, but it's about a dad being a bit angry about what happened at Roman Reigns. He doesn't forgive him. He doesn't want to wait one more day, despite it being 2 days, but we'll let him off that one. Doesn't wait one more day. He wants Roman Reigns tonight. He wants him now inside Hell in the Cell. And Reigns pretty much just comes out and asks him if he's sure. He's like, are you sure? You really want to do this? You really want to get in the cage? Well, I've tried to be diplomatic. I've tried to be nice. And now we do it my way. Now, if throwing Dominic's what we call diplomatic, then I shudder to think what was going through his head later on for the night. Quite a simple start to the show, really. Quite straightforward. There's not really much to kind of delve into apart from the weirdness of announcing the match, even though it was already announced.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Father's Day is Sunday, which, I'm a dad. So, like, I can understand the storyline of it. If somebody did that to my kid, I'd be pissed and I'd probably go to jail because I'd beat the shit out of them, if I was a dad. But at the same time, too, my question, Kiefer, is, okay, that bump that Dominic took, throwing him out the ring. There's no way to train for that. I mean, could he probably was legitimately hurt, don't you think?
I think it was gimmicked a little bit. I think they had a pad. I mean, it's not normal bump to take, I guess, if that makes sense. Like it's just a mind that would mess with your mind, flying that far, and even if you land on a pad or whatever. I mean, it just like I said, it looked great, and I don't know if they gimmicked it or not. I mean, if they didn't, kudos to Dominic for taking it. But yeah, that's a brutal bump. And even if there was a pad, that's just a crazy fall that your body is just not used to doing. And especially from inside the ring to outside the ring is just a weird feeling in general. So
because you have to like fight your natural instincts for that, don't you? Like try not to put your hands back or hold yourself. It's always like crazy. Like the craziest one for me, if I remember that sort of thing rightly, was Shane McMahon and SummerSlam.
Yeah,
when he falls off he falls backwards off of it.
And it takes a certain type of person to be able to just fall that far, and
just
I mean that's
their body right.
That was insane.
So as a promo, how do you think this went? I mean, I personally liked it because I'm a dad. I could relate to it, but not everybody necessarily could if they're not dads. But I mean, I think they understand that we all have dads in some way or shape or form. So, I mean, I could personally, even though my dad's 5'5", $145, I could see my dad being that person. My dad is Rey Mysterio in size, except for Rey's kind of swole up a little bit. But my dad is like Rey Mysterio in WCW days. But I would see him doing something like that. I mean, when I played football and I got hurt, there were times my dad would be like, all right, you hurt my kid, and it was more my mom more than anything else. But my dad would have words too. But it was, so for me, I got it. It made sense to me in a way to go, I don't want to wait. I want to hurt you. I want to hurt you bad. And I'm going to do it in the confines of the ring. So, but when you watched it as a wrestler and a promoter, how do you feel it went as a promo?
I think anytime you can kind of relate something to the average viewer, I guess that makes sense. That it's easier for the I think the promo was fine. Like I said, if being able to relate it to, real life and things like that, and giving Rey a legitimate, fight and, a reason to fight. I mean, that's better than 90% of wrestling promos these days. So, yeah, I thought it was fine. I thought it was cool.
And how do you feel starting so SmackDown's done this a lot where they start the show with talking. How do you feel that's a good way to start a TV show like this?
Man, if you do it every week, I think it just gets to be repetitive. If you do it every so often with the right talker, it's fine. But yeah, I mean, I haven't watched week in and week out, so I don't really know how repetitive it is. I know that there was that time when Triple H and Stephanie McMahon opened up like every Raw for like a year or two or something like that, and I was, they're good promo and everything, but I was at that point I was just exhausted of that starting segment. But Ray, I know Ray doesn't get a ton of time to talk, so
right.
it was a little bit different and a little cool to see him be able to cut that.
Yeah, so a lot of times it's usually Roman or somebody who's going to be involved in and it's talking to prepare you for the show. So all right, so we had an opening promo. James, what was next?
We got into some tag team action, player. I'm quite keen to kind of talk about this match for the main part of who's in it. We got Kevin Owens and Big E versus Apollo Crews and the Commander Aziz. Sami Zayn making his way into ringside, hiding. Well, I'll say hiding, but he's sitting with the commentary desk for this match. And what I don't really kind of do the big deep dive into the match so much. What happens? I just kind of like throw it out there and talk about it. What were you?
Hey guys, I don't mean to interrupt. I actually have to get out of here right now. I do apologize.
Oh no, totally fine.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Hopefully we'll talk soon again. But you guys take care and
Kiefer,
have a blessed day. Okay.
Do your thing. Hey, real quick, tell people how they can find you on the internet for New Texas Pro Wrestling as well as yourself. Where can they find you?
Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at New Texas Pro. And then myself at Kiefer Bartek Pro on all that stuff as well. So
okay,
like I said, I appreciate you guys having me, and y'all have a blessed day. Okay.
All right, you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Woo. There we go. That was great.
Yeah,
it's nice having someone on that knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, for a little bit. I mean, and you get that perspective. He's not only a wrestler, he's a booker and a promoter and an owner. So you get that kind of deeper perspective of it. So it's good to see that. So we have I mean, this match, good Lord,
right. I just want to get straight to the Commander. What do you think of Commander Aziz? It wasn't like what I was hoping for, but it wasn't quite the into the headlock issue I had last week. It was, he was all right. He big manned it quite nicely. I think Kevin Owens was the right guy to be the sell man for him.
I wanted more brawler from him, though. I wanted a little bit more brawler. He unfortunately,
stoic.
Yeah,
very stoic.
Unfortunately, he set up that Dabo Keita, brawler thing, and that suited him well. It covers a lot of flaws. You can see he's still a learning big man, and so I think, unfortunately, some of that was exposed tonight or last night when the show was on. By the way, Wolfers, thanks. Happy Father's Day. I think I was the only one who's actually a father out of the three of us, but that's okay. I'll take it. But I think that was kind of one of the negatives. If they would have kept him as a brawler, as he's a soldier, he's a brawler, he's not a wrestler, he's just this Commander Aziz person, I think it would have made a lot more sense, and it would have hid a lot more stuff. Now, I think he does the big man thing well. You could just tell he needs some polishing up. There's a little bit more. He's still learning. He's still trying to understand things. There's, it seemed like, I don't want to say he was a step behind, but he felt he didn't feel comfortable in the ring. It looked, at least from the perspective.
You think it was a bit too much too soon for him then? They just went straight into it.
Yeah, because you think about it, you've got Big E, you've got Kevin Owens, and you've got Apollo Crews. Three guys who've been around for a long time and who know what the hell they're doing, versus this guy who has been around for Lord knows how long, and we don't know his background really per se. Where he came from and what he did beforehand. So, I mean, to me personally, I think, at the same time too, you had three really good workers in there who probably could help take care of them a little bit better. And And like I said, I think they tried their best. I think they tried to cover up a lot of things and made him look a little more credible, except for that stupid Nigerian nail. I can't. It doesn't.
Right,
it doesn't
that
do anything.
finish was god awful. By the way,
stupid.
Like the Sami Zayn distraction. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
As soon as Owens walks in the ring, he does the nail. There's no like fanfare. There's no movement. It just goes boom, and it's that. You barely see it. You barely see it. Like unless like if you looked away for 2 seconds, you're hoping Michael Cole gets that across properly because hang on. If I stand up and do it, he just goes push and that's it.
But at least with Umaga, you had this whole you know, I mean it's. But I mean, I didn't even like it for Umaga. I feel like he should have had something different. But he made it make sense with the way he sold it, you know, with the way he performed it, the way he did it, just that over the top, and I mean, just coming in like, you know, this is, you know,
if it was up to me, that finish, you could still do it in a similar way. I'd have him grab Owens by the scruff of the neck right there, just push him down, and then just get his arm in it, and then pick him up and bang down, and just throw him down. Like, make him look big. Make him, just let him just be big.
Because Umaga wasn't necessarily big in the sense of tall like Dabu Keita was. He was a big boy. He was just a big boy.
Beast.
He was a beast. But like that was the thing. He sold it as much. Yeah. You know, and unfortunately they're not doing that with Dabu Keita. He just you know, I'm refusing to call him Commander Aziz because it's just you know, it's ridiculous.
His name.
It's not his name at all. And if you have a problem with that WWE, bring it. So, you know, come after a nonprofit worker who has no money. Yeah.
By the way, the coming out of this match, right? It's a bit weird that Hell in a Cell doesn't have an Intercontinental title match,
right?
But 2 of the players in this Intercontinental title feud are having a match at Hell in a Cell, and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. So, okay, cool. I like it.
All right. I mean, I guess. I mean, you know, and I mean, and of all of it, it's like, okay, so why are Sammy and Kevin getting a match, but not Big E and Apollo? You know, like the whole purpose is the So we're not having Roman and Rey, and so we're not having a SmackDown, whatever, Universal title match. We're not having an Intercontinental title match. And then we'll talk about some of the changes that have happened for the rest of the card later. But, you know, it's very weird card. Like,
I don't quite get why they didn't do the Fatal 4-Way.
Yeah.
It's on a plate, unless they're trying to drag it out again.
I guess.
For a little bit while. But then I feel like they're going to do the thing they did with WrestleMania, where they won't have the match at the pay-per-view, but they'll do it at the next show.
Right. Yeah. Well, the thing I'm thinking, well, here's what I'm thinking. They're trying to hold off that one for either the live SmackDown or the, you know, Money in the Bank. You know, I think they would hold off till the live SmackDown in Houston.
I think that's a better time to do it. Money in the Bank's a bit far flung, and also about half of those guys are going to be in that match. For sure.
Right. So I think holding off till Money in the Bank in Houston when you're live crowd to get that pop, you know, which I know Drew and Bobby are going at it this weekend at Hell in a Cell.
One last time.
Yeah, one last time, supposedly. So here's the question. Do you put it on Drew? Because you can't, if he loses, he can't challenge again. So do you put it on Drew to have that pop when you go to a live crowd? Because you have, remember, you've got live crowd. Friday, you got SmackDown. You have Money in the Bank in Fort Worth on Sunday. And then Monday, you have a live Raw in Dallas. So
I would lean towards no, because it sounds like they really want this Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar thing to come through. So I don't like. I would love to see Drew win the title. I would absolutely love it. But then who's left for him? Is my big worry. Is like you with Brock Lesnar, at least with Bobby Lashley being champ, you've got something really fresh and something that people have been clamoring for months and months. And it's the perfect match for a crowd. It's an absolute perfect match to have a full crowd at. And that's so I would say I've been leaning more in towards that than Drew would. But then Drew winning would probably, but I suppose if Drew wins, they'll keep it going or something will happen. It's so up in the air for that
one. Keep it going longer with Drew winning.
Yeah. Have him win and then do the
Money in the Bank. Yeah. You know, but I you know, that's the question is one, can you count on Brock Lesnar to come back? 2, do you have to turn Bobby Lashley to make Brock heel? So there's storytelling involved. I don't know. I mean, part of me is interested just to see that from that standpoint. I mean, I don't watch Raw, so I haven't really been paying attention to anything. Yeah. So the last one was, I don't know when, but yeah, 2 months ago. I mean, yeah, but they always put on good matches. That's a trusted match, but still, it's just very interesting. Some of the like you said, the weird booking. Why is that happening when we don't have the Intercontinental? We'll just have to wait and see. I think honestly, they're trying to get through this period because they know the live shows are coming. That's really where they're wanting to make their bread and butter is these live shows, and so we might get some wonky booking for a while to get them ready for these live shows so they can get that pop.
It's going to be, I think you're right. It's going to be a messy few months to get everything back in order for that there. So,
well, the good part is it's June 19th. So we're under a month until July 11th, for Money in the Bank, the live Raw and the live, SmackDown. So we're under a month. So we just have to ride through this next month of wacky booking to get ready for the live shows that are going to start happening.
Yeah.
So,
oh boy.
Yeah. So
we will be doing some coverage of like the live shows coming back at some point for this as well, which I'm looking forward to doing. It'll be an interesting dive into like people's thoughts and almost like an assessment of how things have been for the past year and a half.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be quite an intriguing dive to get into. So I look forward to talking a bit more about that. We'll move swiftly on. I'll just touch on that Owens walks into the office of Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce having a coughing fit because he got his thumb in his throat.
Sammy, Hell in a Cell. Yeah.
It's like, great promo, mate.
Yeah. All right, you got Sammy in a Hell in a Cell match on. Yeah.
Sound. You're probably not fit for this, but okay. Yeah. No problem. And then we had it. The Battle of the Crown. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Baron Corbin. There's only one spot I really want to talk about, right?
Okay.
It's I think when Nakamura does a baseball slide or something on the post, and he slides out the ring, and then you just get Boogs just going, like, I was buckled. I was like, yes, this is what I want from my wrestling. Boogs! What a guy.
And once again, Pat McAfee is proving how much he's improved this show with his announcing. I mean, throughout the night, just the different things that he picks up on and does. He's made watching SmackDown enjoyable. He really has. I mean,
he has. That
passion. Like, that's the thing with Corey Graves. Corey Graves is good, but he didn't have that passion. Like, there wasn't in that voice. Oh no, let's get, Pat McAfee has like almost genuine fan reaction, which is awesome. And it makes Michael Cole once again pick up his game. It gives him life, and makes him really enjoy it. And then, I especially love the times when he like tries to justify the baddies when he wants to, which was I went to a live show last Saturday for a date night with my girlfriend, and which Barrett was there and a few other guys from local wrestling who are really good dudes, and Barrett's playing a heel right now because he's a heel in New Japan, and so he's playing a heel, and so like he would do a move and like he fish hooked somebody Hook fish hooked him, and they're like, oh, ref, he's fish hooked. I said, no, he's got something in his teeth, he's helping him. I was like, he's a good guy like that, so like I was being that rowdy fan that's like justifying Barrett, fish hooking somebody, or doing like random things. So it was a ton of fun doing that. But like that's what I love about Pat is he'll do that kind of stuff, and justifying it. And at the end, they show the end. Shinsuke's getting crowned, and Boogs is running around, and he crowns him. And Baron Corbin is
the king.
And they come back to Baron Corbin, and Pat's like, "Is he crying? Is he crying?" Like he's calling him out for like crying and stuff like that. And, dude, Pat, and once again, Pat just sold the whole thing, and
he's got no filter, which I absolutely love.
It's so great. Good. It's great. So it's really, really good to have Pat McAfee on. He sold. Yeah. Like this was just a filler match, but between the Crown and Pat selling it, made it totally worth watching.
It was good, and you got a decent amount of time from this one as well. Oh, I'm getting in there. He the king. He the king.
Yeah. Until John Cena comes and takes his
God.
crown.
100%. Have you seen John Cena recently? You've got a beard. It's a bit like mine. But
Really?
it creeps me out. I'm like, John Cena with a beard makes
no, I have not seen that.
Oh, thanks. Mate, shave. I don't want a beardy John Cena going up against Roman Reigns. I'll get that shaved. I want some baby face on your face.
Exactly.
Your 40-odd-year-old face.
Yeah. I think he's older than me. I think, or right around my age. So, which is weird, to see him. And sometimes you're like, oh yeah, that guy's my age. Ugh.
Yeah. So, but yeah. Speaking of baby faces, Bianca Belair comes out. And with a big old grin on her face. She's happy with what she did last week. She said she felt good putting Bayley in her place last week. And it's like a bully to be able to dish it out and not take it. And it's quite nice because she comes out with? And it's just talking about her laughing. And it's like people judge you and laugh at you and they'll punish you and do this, but then you're the champ. It's like She's got this motivational speaking down to a fine art.
She does. And I'm going to be honest. I understood this personally because, from like 4th to 8th grade in elementary to middle school here, when I grew up in Louisiana, I got picked on for relentlessly from 4th to 8th grade. And then all of a sudden high school comes and I start playing football and I'm playing linebacker and I'm hitting people real hard. And all of a sudden people are like, damn, he hits real hard. I won't be his friend. So it stops because it's like people recognize your value all of a sudden. And so like, I understood that. Like I was that Bobby Boucher tackling fuel. I remembered everybody and what they said. I would just knock the piss out of everybody because it was like, all right, you wanted to make fun of me for 4 years. So let's give you a little bit back. And so, I would knock the piss out of people. And, I was that Bobby Boucher tackling fuel, did not care who you were. On the field, when the whistle blew, I'm going after that ball, and if you're in the way, I'm going to knock the shit out of you to do it. And so, but then all of a sudden, it's like, oh wow, something, you're really good, baseball player or football player. So yeah, we want to be your friend. I'm not going to make fun of you anymore. And so I related to this once again, good job. Like there was the promos tonight, this one and Bianca's, I really related to because I personally had dealt with some of this stuff, and so. I get where she was coming from and what she was saying. So I was like, okay, all right, girl, I see you. I see what you're doing. And then, it was very interesting because we got a very different Bayley.
It was intense.
It was
oh man. She was just like straight out, not a word said, just straight out there. And I loved it.
Yeah, it was like
absolutely
flip the switch. No more BS. No more playing around. No more of this laugh. It's almost like her set got broken, so Bayley got broken because her hair was different. She had a very interesting makeup. Yeah, and very interesting makeup on her eyes, like orange, like orange and pink, yellow, pink, whatever kind of makeup on her eyes that just made it more intense and just, did not come around and mess up. Like Bianca got her at first, but then she grabbed that hair once again. The hair playing a factor. She grabbed it and pulled her into the thing, and then just started, doing her thing on Bianca. And of course, we got to say Bianca made it a Hell in a Cell match.
And I think that's what was great about it. It was like this really just set the tone for what we're getting on Sunday out the gate. It was like, okay, I'm up for this. A no nonsense match. We've done the laughing. We've done the silly stuff. We're going to get these two women in a cage, and they're going to absolutely kick the piss out of each other.
And Bayley is good for it. It'll be good. It'll be really good. I'd say that's probably going to be, if not the match of the night, it'll be it'll be up there. It'll be up there. I think those two are really, really good. Bianca being as young as she is and as talented as she is and athletic as she is. And then you've got Bayley, who's just, been on that high level for so long, and she just knows what she's doing. I think it's going to be a great match, especially in a Hell in a Cell, because they've really built these two up to warrant it. It makes sense. I can see Bianca, that laughing. Okay, well, I'm going to make this laughing stop for good, and we're going to do it in a Hell in a Cell, kind of thing. And so, obviously, if we're going by traditional show booking, the fact that Bayley got the better of Bianca and was holding the title, we can assume that Bianca's going to win, but you never know. They might throw us a twisty every now and then.
Who knows? I mean,
who knows?
It's cool anyway. I like the visual at the end. They kept that up from like a couple of weeks ago
from last week. Yeah,
when Bayley had her whole face all over the arena and she just picked up the belt. And I was trying to figure out if it was the actual image of the live feed of her holding the belt, or if someone was really quick at getting a photo and getting it up on the screen, because it doesn't look like she moves on any of the images on the screen. So
right.
I was very impressed with like how swift they put that out, unless they did it earlier in the day, and this is just them.
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, but it was good either way. It was very cool keeping that same concept that was established earlier. The callback for it was really good. So
that's like the last thing we've seen, the build-up package. Right,
exactly. And so I'm looking forward to it. I'm here for it. It should be good stuff. So and then because my brain is shit, what was next? Help me remember.
We got a nice wee backstage segment with Jimmy Uso and Roman Reigns, and it was like Jimmy accepting that family matters. Like, family matters being the main part of the show. I was almost somewhat disappointed in this because it was like Jimmy came in and was like, "Look, I've tried to get Jay. I've went to his phoned him. I've texted him. I've went to his house. He's not talking to me. He's not responding. Or I heard from him. But listen, man, I understand. Like, this family is important. I might not agree with what you're going to say. I don't agree with what you do, but we're family, and we got to try and make our family proud." And it was kind of like they found the middle ground. And at the same time, Reigns was still like, "You got to find your brother, right?" And it's like, "I need him." It's like, "You need him. We need him." I like that a little bit. I was like, "I need your brother." Actually, well, you need him. We need him. And it was like kind of, okay, so he's still not fully on board with Jay, but there's signs of it coming through. It's just a short segment. It's just a short one because it's more acknowledging Jay not being there, what happened last week, and even Roman's saying we're stronger when we're together. So you see Jimmy start to ease his way into this role, and it's I don't know. I think maybe this week wasn't the week to kind of play them off each other again. I know because they did the Hell in Cell thing as well, so maybe they just patched it for a week, which is fine. So there's not too much to dive into now. We'll talk about it a little bit later on, though. There's a nice little moment at the end.
I was a little disappointed with this because I wanted to either go a little longer, build some more tension to bring him back, or that now you've got Jimmy's in the fold. Now Jay is out. Kind of there's this whole thing. It's like one or the other, and then once again, it feels like wonky booking, a little bit. It doesn't make sense. And then
you think they're going to try and do to Jimmy what they did with Jay? While Jay's away, they'll meet Jimmy and Jay, and then
I think that's the goal. And then it's going to pit them two against each other, kind of thing. But at the same time, too, it feels like all of a sudden between last week, he was at the end of the show. Roman mentioned something. He kind of flips a switch, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh yeah," And granted, Jimmy didn't say he was all the way in either. He said,
"No, he was just like, I don't agree with what you're doing.
I don't agree with what you're doing or what you say some of the times, but you're right. It is about family." So, it's almost like both of them are going, I'm not sure.
We have to get along.
Yeah. So, I get it. It's definitely one of those things where it could continue to build still. It could be maybe one of them is being tactical and the retreat in the sense of, let me kind of be that person who can whisper to Jimmy, but, show like I'm going along and, we're doing our thing. I don't know. Who knows? Paul Heyman's done a great job with it so far. I'm not mad at it yet.
We trust. I would say
Heyman we trust, which I love. Once again, I have to throw this out there. The way Heyman was looking at Roman in the beginning promo, where he's like, he looked at me, I tried to do it the political way. And Heyman is just holding him going like, like just shaking his head. He's got this like puppy dog look at his face.
Yeah,
he's just like, you were so right. I love you so much right now. You're like, this look, it was so great. Heyman is amazing. I love Heyman. Yeah. He's done some great stuff. So
okay. Right, we'll move on. Right, I'm going to do something you should never do on live streaming, but I'm going to let you hold the fort for 2 seconds, John. I'm going to quickly run to the toilet because.
Well, what's next? So I can at least do that.
Right, I'll do that. I'll get you in there. So we're talking. It was supposed to be the match between Angelo Dawkins and Otis, and it was just an absolute massacre that they had for those two.
Yeah,
it didn't even last long for that there. So
right.
I'll just sashay away for 2 seconds. I'll be right back, and
I'll talk about that. So
you probably for 2 minutes.
Yeah, go ahead. Go do your thing. Go. Go. All right, so guys. So yes, the next segment was the recap of the week before. You had the Gable Montez Ford match where then Otis came in at the end and just beat the ever living hell out of Montez Ford after beating up Dawkins in the back and hurting his shoulder, and just gave him power bombs and Vader bombs and all kinds of stuff. And they said he broke some ribs and some interstitial muscles and all that kind of stuff. And so he was not going to be there tonight. And so Dawkins is getting Otis one-on-one. But Gable walks out. And once again, we're seeing more of this, I'm going to call it cult-like, following of Gable and Otis. It's almost like Gable is controlling Otis like a cult leader would. And so, Gable comes out there and they're in the ring, and then here comes Dawkins and they're talking, and Gable gets Dawkins distracted and starts chasing him on the outside. And then Otis just pops up out of nowhere and just shoulder tackles him and just proceeds to beat the crap out of him. Him and Gable just start to beat the crap out of him. They throw him into the rings into his busted shoulder, and they throw him into the steps. They just proceed to beat on him, and basically it is not a match. They just beat him to where he could not compete at all. And so we see here that we're just continuing to build this Alpha Academy versus Street Profit feud. So, and we're seeing this new look of Otis. I don't know what you guys think of it. I find it very interesting and different. Like Kiefer said earlier, it's different. It's interesting to see Otis as this almost, I was telling him, James, I said, Otis is almost like like he's in a cult.
His expressions on his face is terrifying.
Yeah, when they showed him after he shoulder tackled Dawkins, and like the expressions doesn't change, and they're just beating the crap out of him, and he's just emotionless. He doesn't do anything unless Gable tells him. It's so cult-like now. It's good. It's really good storytelling. I really like it.
It's the end of it as well. He has no expression on his face the whole way through while he's doing all these things. At the very end, he just puts his big smug grins like.
Mm-hmm.
It's a small thing, but you're spot on. It's like he has control. He is brought under like Gable's spell a little bit, but he enjoys it. He enjoys it, which is the more scary thing about Otis. I don't think we've ever seen Otis like this before.
No,
and the no beard thing makes all the sense now too, because you can really see those expressions or expressionless face at times as well.
Right.
And Dawkins was a good sacrificial lamb for this as well.
Yeah, he did a great job selling on this. I mean, really. Gam Wolfers, I would definitely Wyatt family-esque. I would say that just that blank stare, that look, definitely good stuff.
What was that film with Steve Carell? What was that again? It was Foxcatcher.
Oh, yeah.
It's got a bit of Foxcatcher about it. Like, that's what I'm digging.
Which, interestingly, so last Sunday, Kurt Angle has a podcast with Conrad Thompson, and they talked about that. Kurt was there at Foxcatcher.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So Kurt tells everything that happened. He knows what was going on, and he shared about it. It was crazy and creepy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So if you know anything about Foxcatcher, or there was a Steve Carell movie about it, but there was a book. Kurt Angle was there, and so go listen to that podcast. I know we were telling you to go listen to another podcast, but after this podcast, go listen to that one with Kurt Angle and Conrad Thompson. It's the longest one they think I've done this. They're normally about an hour. I think they went an hour and a half, except for when they had Randy Orton on, and Randy was out of character. That was a very interesting listen too. So if you want to hear Randy Orton as Randy Orton and not as the Viper or the Snake or whatever. They did that with Randy Orton on that podcast. It was actually a pretty good podcast. But yeah, listening to that, boy, that dude was crazy. And he said, like Kurt said, they were focused on wrestling, at the time, so they didn't think anything of it. They just thought he was harmless until one day he shows up and he shoots the guy, and his driver, who's like this ex-CIA special forces guy, just took off and ran, and then shot the guy a few more times. It's just like, just crazy stuff. Just because they were getting their stuff paid for, and they were, getting all kinds of stuff done, and so it's like we didn't think everything of it, and we thought he was harmless, and then all of a sudden one day he comes in and shoots, what's his name, and that's it. So it is like that a little bit. You get this, because Gable's that Olympic medalist wrestler, and then Otis actually was him and Gable actually know each other from that kind of world too. So they've been friends for a very long time in WWE. A lot of people don't know that, and so. Knowing that makes it help make a lot of sense too. So I'm interested to see where it goes. It's actually become one of the more compelling things I think they have on SmackDown that doesn't involve a title. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they continue that. And it's a great way to keep the Street Profits and Otis and Gable involved. I think it's really a good thing.
Ironically, this is a great story, even though. This is a great story to keep the Street Profits up on the up. Yeah, Street Profits are up because they're down, but it's like this is a storyline that gets them going, as you say. And this is something that SmackDown has over Raw and arguably NXT as well. Is they just bring in these sort of nuggets of story that keep you going. Like you would never expect this to happen, but you won't miss the next one. You don't want to miss what happens next because it's so engaging. And everywhere on this card does it. Even if you don't even if you're not a big fan of it. Like I was raging at the Battle for the Crown thing, but I still watched it because there's an outcome to that. There's story, and you know what? What if Baron Corbin lost? What if Nakamura lost or Boog something happened? Like there's just little things. There's little things in this that are worth your time. Yeah. That the other shows just can't get right just now.
Exactly. You're right. I mean, they're getting the little things right better than anything else. Granted, they're working with 2 hours, and NXT was better when it was at 1 hour. Yeah. SmackDown is right on the money with 2, and Raw is overbloated at 3. You're seeing that really this 2 hour mark for storytelling is great. NXT, now that they've gone to 2 hours, I don't feel it's as good a product. Because they had to be so tight on their storytelling and what they had. Now they've got all these titles. They got the $1 million title. They've got, the North American title. They've got the tag team titles. They got the men's and women's titles. I mean, it's just, man, remember the day when it was, you had a men's title, a women's title, and a tag team title. That was Simple. It. And you had to tell your story in an hour. That was good stuff. New Japan is strong. I don't know if you guys have watched this yet, but guys, you got to check it out. It's an hour of just solid wrestling, good stuff with some storytelling in there, and I'm telling you, it is probably one of the best wrestling shows going on right now, really, because it's an hour and they're just so tight with it.
Hang on. You could talk with us on a Saturday afternoon. What do you mean you can't watch it without anyone being there? Who do you think we are? Do you think we just watch this because we're a couple of mugs?
I sure don't love it. Well,
Come on, man. Give us some credit.
So, all right. So, so that's Otis and the do not finish ending where they just beat the crap out of Dawkins.
They just kicked off right away. Funny that we talked about SmackDown being really engaging and great. I wasn't a big fan of this next promo with Cesaro and Seth Rollins. It was Cesaro sitting with Kayla Braxton, just talking about Sunday. Cesaro wants to fight, and then Rollins just decides to pull up a pew, gets rid of Kayla, and just almost like he wanted to lead the interview, but Cesaro didn't want to say anything.
Which, by the way, I was a little mad at because Kayla Braxton's a little hottie, and I don't want to see. I'd rather see her than Seth Rollins. But I did like the only thing I liked about this was the end where Cesaro just pushes him out of the chair and knocks him over.
Oh, yeah.
You know. Oh, thank you,
Good man. Good man.
Good man.
Yes.
So, but like that was the only thing I liked. He let Seth do his thing. He's like, okay, Seth, I'll see you Sunday. And he goes to pat him, and when he does it a little too hard. So Seth falls out of the chair. And
that fall, by the way, was awful. He just sort of flopped and folded. Yeah. I was hoping for a bit more impact
because really Cesaro gave him a push, but you could see that Seth was the one who was really doing the pushing out of the chair.
Yeah, it's like when you swing your chair too much, and he was doing a bit of that. Yeah, because it takes ages to just go.
Yeah, because the timing was off. He had to start. He had to start leaning back right when it was the whole thing, And when
I'm sure he looked back at one point, he's like, "Oh,
yeah,
oh."
I mean, in all actuality, it should have been that he just let him push it. In all reality, he should have just Cesaro. He just let Cesaro push him, and then deal with it from there. That's what should have happened.
Yeah.
So
of all the things they've done though to lead up to this match, this was the thing that got me least excited. Yeah, and I can't believe I'm saying that. Like, I feel like they could have had like just a face-to-face segment like this. Mm-hmm. Akin to how Austin and The Rock had theirs before WrestleMania 17. Now, I'm not saying you do. I'm not saying you want. I need that more than you could possibly imagine. I'm not thinking you do that, but at least have them go like face to face and just have like this quiet, intense promo. They could both do it, and it'd be really good TV. You could have Caleb Braxton sit there, or have him go like, "Can you not just leave us?
Right.
I want to just speak to him face to face, sit down, eye, and just get it out. And if you want to do the push at the end, cool. But I think they could have just done a bit more. Sometimes they're a bit stuck on their ways of how they like to do promos and very 80s, early 90s style.
Right.
Wow, people appear and people doing this. It's got to, because I really like this feud and I really like what they bring. And I love their matches when they have them. Mm-hmm. So I think they could have got a bit more out of that. I feel like they could have had a better opportunity. So it was. I felt a bit kind of but I will watch it. I'll really enjoy the match all the same. I'm still gonna be excited for what happens. So
yeah, but this didn't do anything for it. It really didn't.
This will not be on the promo package. That's for sure.
Yeah. And Sonic, if you don't agree with this, that's cool. You can tell us what you don't agree with this. If we, he posted saying he wants to bring positivity to online talk, even if I don't agree with what you're saying. Hey, if there's anything you don't agree with what we're saying, you're not going to hurt my feelings. None. That's why.
That's why we've got the chat. That's why the chat's here, man. You get right in involved. We love it when we do it. I honestly love it. By the way, like I have to bring this up because I forgot to bring it up last week. The chat got a bit weird last week because everyone started talking about Nigeria for a while.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? It was like I wanted to try and find a moment to like bring it up. I was just like watching it, just look at this and going, what's going on? It's a fun place though. I love the chat when we do this.
Yeah.
That's why I'm glad we do it live now. I'm so glad we made the move to doing it live. Yeah. But no, get your opinions in, no matter what it is. If you agree with us, if you disagree with us, that's what we're here for. That's what we love about the Smack Attack is everyone's got a don't you dare start Gam. I see you there. I see you in the chat.
But I guess I'm old and I don't understand what that means.
But no, get your thoughts in. This is what we're about. We're a forum. This is.
Yep.
When me and Joe came in August, it's the tag when you listen to the beginning of the show when it's in podcast form. When it eventually comes back out in podcast form, it's for the fans, by the fans, and it's exactly that. That's exactly what this is about. So get involved. When I mean it when we say we love it when you get involved because it fills up so much of the show and it just brings us camaraderie and banter and fun to the point where we're looking at suits and just talking about all sorts. So no, get involved in that as well. But speaking of getting in, like them, is it either get like them or be left behind?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
true. That's true.
That's true.
But we get to the end of the show. We get to the Hell in a Cell match between Roman Reigns.
We talked about with Kiefer a good bit.
So we can kind of get to the tail end of this where I have to address something here, right?
Okay, go ahead.
Roman Reigns gets a choke finish on Rey Mysterio.
Right.
And all I see is some like inverted guillotine or modified guillotine. It's a Darce choke. is what he has. He puts a
that what
standing
that
dash
was?
choke. Yeah, it's a
Zourdo.
dash choke, and I love them. They're awful, but they're cool. And I was kind of, when I was watching it, I wasn't really expecting it. I just went, a little cheeky dash, just getting the arm over the front and just lifting it up. It looked devastating. So I don't know if Roman Reigns just goes to jiu-jitsu class now and again, and once he works out a move, he's like, I'm just gonna choke someone out with this quality.
To me, it felt a little awkward. I'm gonna be honest with you. It felt like,
there's a lot of work to get them into the dars, to kind of move their head in position. Then you got to move your arm over behind them, and then slip your arm underneath, and then put the pressure on and lift. It's usually done on the ground. So when you tie up the leg and do that, that's why I wish we had Bulletproof Troop on this one, because he's got some great videos that break down these submissions, because he showed one where he did with Thunder Rosa, and he showed her how to do a Peruvian necktie, and she did it on AEW. It was class.
Nice. See, but that's the kind of thing that I find cool, but it looked awkward. I thought he screwed up trying to do a guillotine, a standing guillotine. Because he's been using that for a while on the ground, where he gets somebody on the guillotine on the ground and hold them. Whereas, it felt like almost he wasn't doing it right, and that he was, I don't know. It just looked clunky. It looked awkward. It didn't look good. Compared to when he could have done a standing guillotine to Rey, and it would have looked fine, because Rey is I
think it's because he's smaller.
You think
when when you see him do it on like a Braun Strowman, or when he did it to Brock or Kevin Owens, he could get up, lock it in, and then wrap his legs around them, and he's still up there for a little bit before they drop down. Whereas with Rey, if he tries that, he's pulling him in, and also looks like he's not really doing much when he's there. Whereas, you've got when you've got in the darts, he's having to pull him up.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than being down here, where it looks like he's just got him in a weird headlock thing, he's actually trying to show that tension of lifting it up and putting pressure on his neck. That's what I kind of liked. It's obviously, it was still, I agree with it, it's not the smoothest of darts I've ever seen.
Right.
I like
the
idea.
And granted, mind you, I've taken one MMA class, so I don't know shit, but a jiu-jitsu class. But to me, it makes more sense, especially with a smaller guy like Rey, where you're running your hand up under his chin and you're able to hold it and lift. That makes Roman look bigger. That makes him look more powerful to me than it does that Darce choke that he did. So he's already kind of bent over and leaning, and so you just slip that arm under, and you're just lifting at this point. And then Rey can pretend like he goes out and he looks floppy, and you just drop him and let him fall. To me, that looks more clean and dangerous than the way he kind of, positioned him into that Darce show. That's why I'm thinking just standing. He doesn't have to do the laying down one. Just standing, because he's a beast. He's a big dude. And you could already see that in the match. And just slip that under there, standing. You got him. And all right, Rey, go limp. All right, I'm going to drop you. Boom, go dead. And Rey does that. And that's all you have to do. And then, Rey can play dead, and then you just walk over and you do it again while he's on the ground. At the end, when he does the same move again, Rey's up, or that disrespect, Rey's up again. Well, I'm going to go take care of this. You do it again. You do it standing again, and this time he goes floppy, and you situate him in such a way where you're holding his arm, so he's floppy, but you're holding him, and you make it look like you're holding it for a very, very, very long time, and then you drop him, and then he's done. So that's where I think it would have been cleaner to do something along those lines than the way he went about it. But I understand why he did it. And of course, Rey gets up, and he's like, how dare this dude get up in front of me like this? Time
to go night again, but he just marches right back there, chokes him out, and very tellingly at the end, Jimmy Uso raises Reigns' hand.
Yeah,
which I was surprised by. Because considering this time last year, it was a bit sooner than that, but the last Hell in the Cell when Reigns was doing this to Jay, this is like the last thing I wanted.
Right.
And he even brought it up when he came back. And then we're seeing almost exactly the same play out. And he's like, "You're the man.
Yeah.
Good job. Good job." So
yeah,
it was a nice little landing, a nice little touch for it there. Oh wait, hang on, what's he got here? Ray's been doing it a long time. Also, I told my wife you can tell Ray's son isn't really hurt because WB didn't strip him of the tag titles.
True. Good call.
That's a little nugget, by the way. That's quite a good spot. I didn't
good job. That. Yeah, good job, Sonic. Hey, and by the way, Sonic, I try not to look at MSG and Stevie Ray. You know, I mean,
come on now.
Especially MSG. No, I love MSG. MSG's the man. So
I thought you were going to say Stevie Ray. That's the one to impress.
And Stevie Ray, I mean, nobody was. I mean, yes, sir, your head's down, and all that. So out
of the two, the one you want to impress and keep happy is Stevie, easily.
Yeah,
Stevie Ray.
Exactly.
Like also like the beautiful people on Patreon are the A Team, April and
the
Alan.
A show. The A show.
So that's the A Team. I mean,
you did say the A Team. Yeah.
Although
they're not mercenaries.
The logo's kind of the same. It's just that's what gets.
They're not mercenaries trying to right wrongs throughout America. So, which by the way, yours truly will be on at the end of the month, on the last Tuesday of the month. So,
I pity the fool who won't know Patreon.
Yeah, exactly. You won't hear me talk on Patreon. No, God, good Lord, we always go off the rails, don't we? That's okay. No bread, no water, just meat. That's right, Wolfers.
Oh dear,
Booker. No bread, no water, just meat. There we go. Got it.
I like Stevie Ray on. If you've not watched, it's a total sight to behold.
Oh yeah,
great stuff. Like some stuff, but it's the ones I love watching. Right, are the ones he does for Impact, where he's like,
oh yeah.
He gets right into it. He gets right into this. I'm like, yes,
yeah,
this is my content. I want this. So he's worth every penny.
It's good stuff. So, all right, so that ends the show. So overall, how did you feel? This is a go home show. James, how did you feel about this show?
You know what? Like talking about it's made me feel a lot better than what I was coming in, because I was a bit like, I don't know about this one because we had the Hell in a Cell match a day early or 2 days early. Cesaro and Rollins felt a bit flat to me. The Commander Aziz thing I was quite getting into, but then you break down the stuff with Bayley and Bianca Belair. We've covered. They've got them in Hell in a Cell now, and they've really done well to get to this point. One of the better views. I think this view has been better than Bel Air and Banks has been done, considering the amount of time they've had over the same time scale. It's night and day. Otis had a great showing.
Yeah.
Some of his character work starting to fly through and show itself really nicely. Some more layers with Reigns and Jimmy Uso. We got the Battle for the Crown, which wasn't the greatest match, but had an incredible spot with the guitar solo mid match, which is beautiful.
And with that one, it was more the story being told in the match in the ring. You know, let's be honest.
Yeah,
it was Pat McAfee. It was the pomp and the circumstance of it. The match itself was whatever. Yeah, but that's what made it. I think it was more than that. It was everything.
Yeah. Pat McAfee, as you say, is just a big part. So I'd probably say I'm more in the camp of being happy. I'd give it a C+. I'd say is a fair score, considering all things considered. I think some decisions I wasn't too fond of. The opening was a bit of not a dull bit, because Ray's promo was really good. It did connect, but when you're announcing a match is happening and then not even 24 hours later, you pretend you didn't make that announcement and then make the announcement for the match, then it's like, come on, guys. Get your shit together. It's such a small thing, but at the same time, it's like this is the stuff where it's like people pay attention to. If you're not acting like people pay attention, then what you're not trying to achieve anything here. You need to reward people from following your product and long-term viewers. You can't just make assumptions that people haven't seen your tweet and then you gotta get it out of there. Just be confident in that.
Yeah, and Wolfers, I think to answer your question, I think the reason why they did it is they realized they fucked up on their timing for Hell in a Cell, and they were using this to promote it because they've had lackluster sales for this pay-per-view or whatever, especially because it's the last one before the live events. So I imagine the way it was is like, hey, and then two, it's never been done. So Fox is happy. That's why Fox is the one who put it out. Like, it's never been done. First time ever on SmackDown. First time, they were doing like first time ever stuff on it, and so, which I think they put that out Friday. And
then he just bossed AEW out of cage matches as well. Because
Right.
I had Jake Hager and Wardlaw in an MMA fight, and I've not seen it yet, but by all accounts, it wasn't good.
Yeah,
So
you got one guy who knows what he's
imagine
doing,
that.
and you got another guy who doesn't. So
yeah, and
you know,
it's hard to work MMA matches really well. But we might get to see that with Bobby and Brock, and it'll be quality. But then you've got that. But then there must have been sort of like, well, if that's your cage match, check ours.
right?
Boom.
Yeah,
Big old Hell in a Cell match.
right. So I imagine that's probably what it was. You know, it was more than that. So in an attempt to just since AEW's had to move to Fridays because of basketball
NBA,
playoffs. Yeah. So, it's one of those things where now they're just going, okay, well, let's fuck with them as best we can with SmackDown, So, me personally, once again, if I had cable and I could watch AEW, I might, but then again, it's one of those things of you can't throw a Hell in a Cell match, kind of like Ben talks about. I don't know if you guys have ever heard Ben talk about promoting a match. Sometimes you release stuff early because you're like, you missed out on this. You missed out. How much more money could you have? You were 3/4 full. You could have had a sellout if you would have said so-and-so was going to be on the show, that kind of thing. So that's, I think.
With Hell in a Cell, we kind of knew that this was going to be a bit of a burner show. The live audience is coming back from Money in the Bank. So we kind of knew Roman Reigns wasn't going to be there. That was on the cards for a while. And it seemed like a strange move to then shoehorn this match with Rey Mysterio in the pay-per-view and then change your mind and not do it at all. So it's kind of, I get what you mean, but at the same time, it's like, it sounds like not even they know that.
Right.
They even know what they're doing with that one. So it was a bit of a strange one. But all in all, I'd say a C+. A good show.
I would say C+ as well. It was a good show. I think just some of the things were, like you said, the booking was just a little weird, a little wonky, and you made you question some things. So it's just like, okay. So that's, I think it could have been a solid B show if their booking would have been a little bit more clear and a little bit more like, not why are you doing this again kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason why it knocks it down for me a little bit. But as far as a go home show though, before a pay-per-view,
it does the job nicely.
It did the job nicely. It really did. So I can't argue with that. I mean, it's one of those things where you go, okay, well, if I really sit here and look at it, it was a pretty good show. So I don't know. That's where I struggle with SmackDown sometimes because it's like, okay, sometimes they do some really, really good stuff. And then you're like, but then there's this over in the corner that we got to look at. It's like, come on, man. Like, be consistent. I think that's what we're craving as fans is we want consistency more than anything else. And so, anyway, that was that. Let us know what you guys thought of the show. Tell us what you think.
That's what I think of this show as well.
Yeah.
We did have a question. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a Dr. Ted. Dr. Ted, right? I'm going to give you guys homework. Because I got a question from UTT Rob. I want to answer it, but I don't think we're going to have a lot of time to do it tonight. So I'll do it next week. So you're all got homework, and I'll be checking and doing some marking of your papers, and you'll be getting some very goods or not goods or see me. That was always something. That was always something I used to hate getting when I was in school. Right, you get your homework and hand it in, tick tick, or it was all right, and you just get see me at the bottom. Like,
you fucked up. You fucked up. You fucked up.
You know that conversation's not going to be good by the end of that. There, I remember getting at college. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I was supposed to be saying things in the script. I didn't know I was going to have this. But yeah, so I'll ask this question. I'm going to put it out on here. So I'm going to read out the question. And you can all have a think. You've got a week to do this. This time next week, you will have your answers. But UTT Robbie comes up with the question. As the first Hell in a Cell match was between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker in 1997, if you each picked one of them, how would you book their 1997 characters on the current SmackDown roster? So it's a tough question. There's a lot to, and this is why I'm going to leave it as homework because I think I wish I had more time to talk about it tonight, and then we could do it. I think there's a lot of time we need to spend on this one.
Right.
But I think it's a great conversation starter. And there's a lot to think about because Shawn Michaels back in 1997 is a very different animal.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for me, Undertaker 97, you could still kind of book in a similar way to how you could have booked him now and not have him be there often and doing stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what you guys think. I'll be interested to see your answers. Let me mark that. I will be doing register. Just so you know. All of you, I'll be like,
yeah, Sonic.
I want some presents. I want some presents shown on the chat.
So, is the idea being that we're building to them two coming together? Ooh. Just to make sure I'm understanding right. So, are they going through the roster to get to face each other?
You could do it that way. It's your own booking. You can do whatever you like.
Because here's the thing: just put them in a match. That's the whole point. Yeah. If it's not, but if it's 97 Undertaker versus, 97 Shawn, how do we get them there? And with the 20, I think that's what he's kind of referencing is how do you get them there with this current roster?
It'll be fun. So we'll hopefully try and spend a bit of time on that next week talking that through. We do love it when you get your questions in though. So you know what? We'll go bumper with it. If you've got any questions you want to get in, we'll do a big old mail sack. We've not done a proper mail sack for a while, so we'll fill it up. So if you've got questions, you've got a week to get your questions in. There's many ways you can do it. You can tweet us at SmackAttackHMG. You can follow us on there on Twitter. You can send us an email, smackattackhammymedia@gmail.com. You can go onto the Facebook group, the Hammy Media discussion group on Facebook. There's so much content there right now. You've got the news content that William Alcea puts out, some of the best news content around. He gets stuff done months in advance, so you need to be there if you want to keep your ear on the ground, all things pro wrestling. Twitch, I know Hammy Media Group's got a Twitch page. We're on Patreon. Go into Hammy Media Group on Patreon. There's so much great content. We're free on YouTube. We should be on Patreon. I should really put my finger out there. But there's the Impact Attack, the Monday and Friday locker rooms. I think the Conspiracy Horsemen's there. Fucking Rotten by Rip Rogers. There's some great content on there as well. Not to mention the other Patreon stuff we've mentioned already. You've got the Beautiful People podcast, the A Show. You've got Stevie Ray doing his stuff on Patreon as well. It is filled with so much stuff, unbelievable amounts of stuff. And that's not to get to the point where we're moving on to the Realm Network very soon. So you're going to have all this content on a major platform. You think there's a lot going on right now. You don't know the half of it. You really don't know. There is so much ahead. That's all I can really say about the Realm Network and how much I really know, to be honest with you. But there's so much going to be going on within the next few months. It is unbelievable. So if you're on the journey, right, if you've been with Hammy Media Group from the beginning, if you're just joining, if you know someone who might be up for this, it's going to be a wild ride for the next few while. So get involved and be part of it. And be part of us in the Smack Attack. We always love it when you come in here. We try and keep our shows as regular as possible. So every time we come on, you know where we are. You know what we're doing. Just join us. It'd be great to have you there for that. Yeah.
And Sonic, here's how you answer. Here's how you do it. You just put the wrestler in Michaels. You're gonna you just have to put the wrestlers how you build to where we get there.
I'd say about 500 words is a maximum.
Yeah. So, all you got to do is just 97 Michaels versus Big E, and then you could go 97 Undertaker versus Kevin Owens, and then you just keep building that way. Just saying which characters Michaels and whatever are going to face until one of them gets the title and the other one faces the other one for the title.
Yeah,
that's how I would say you could go about doing it. So
yeah.
You know me, I find ways to get around stuff. So.
Yeah, and also I forgot to say the Hammy Media Affiliates channel on Podbean or anywhere you get your podcasts from. So many great podcasts there already. For the NFO podcast, you have the Academy Star Trek podcast hosted by the one and only John Enright and the man Triple D Zourdo. This week's episode was a really good one as well. Yeah. I thought it was quite a fun one for that. Yeah. Fun to edit too.
Yeah, because we totally didn't leave you any breaks or whatever. I was listening to it. I was like, oh shit, we didn't leave him any breaks. I
got them though.
You did. You got them, man. But I was listening. I was like, oh shit, we forgot to leave breaks for James. Yeah. But poor Triple D, man, he's been working like a dog for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Just 3 weeks straight, and so I was just telling him, look, whenever you're ready, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna do it. Oh, something came up. I was like, okay, dude, no, it's no big deal. Just take your time whenever you want to take some time to do it. And dude, I'm telling you, that dude, when I tell you he was knackered when we talked, that dude was just straight, like he looked like he was on fumes, So, but I love him. I still broke him a little bit, which is always funny on the news story. So if you want to hear me poke someone to the breaking point, it's always a good time for that with Triple D. When we just have fun talking Star Trek. So if you don't like Star Trek, then you're uneducated. You're a smooth brain, and I'm sorry. But I get it. It's not for everybody. So you use that simpler Star Wars stuff because magic. Yeah, magic. Space magic. Anyway, no, I love both. I love things like Pacific Rim. So I'm, so sometimes I'll mess with Triple D not Triple D. I'll mess with GGP and Doc and them on their show. I'll comment on something, and they're like, "Oh, you're with Star Trek? You don't know?" So what are you talking about? I'm a Star by guy, So, and they're like, "Oh, by guy, yeah." So it's funny. So we have a good time with it. It's sci-fi is sci-fi, but it's definitely worth checking out. If you haven't, make sure you go do so. We do a lot of fun stuff, and if there's stuff you like on that show too, tell us, and we'll talk about it. We're coming up with topics on our own a lot, and so if you have something you want to know about Star Trek or anything along those lines, episodes you like or want us to watch or talk about characters that we do a deep dive on, we can do that. So. The affiliate channel is a lot of fun. Destino came back. Hey, Jargo's got his new house. He's got his new studio set up. So if you like New Japan Wrestling, Jargo is on there with Destino, and it's a great way to listen to that. All the affiliate stuff is great. RTW Rewind with Rad Rob Francois, who has been on the show. Great dude. Listen to his stuff, man. He does some really great stuff as well. So if you just want a little different flavor, that Hami Media Affiliates channel is the place to go to get a lot of deep, different, and unique stuff. So make sure you're checking that out.
It's a nice little breakaway from wrestling. If you're a bit a little bit as well. So some great stuff. Is there anything else we want to close on before we go? Before we head on out of here today?
Yeah. So before we go today, I've got a mental health tip for you from my friend Jackson Stone. Today we're going to be talking about mindfulness. Mental health is a tough battle, but there are many ways to cope with and alleviate these challenges. First, it's important to be aware of what we are feeling and then accept it. Not accepting it as good or bad, but understanding that it exists and to figure out what works for you in handling and thriving it in your mental health. Practicing mindfulness is one of the best coping mechanisms. Mindfulness allows our minds to not let the negative or ruminating thoughts take over. Mindfulness exercises include meditation, art, cleaning, board games, self-care routines, and sports. And Jackson says, I hope you have a fantastic week. Take good care of yourself. Much love, Jackson Stone. So,
thank you. And hope you had a lovely birthday as well, Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson. Oh, yeah. If you saw some of the pictures, that dude had a really good birthday. I'm privileged to see some of those pictures. He had a good birthday. He posted a picture of him. He's wearing some glasses, this shirt, and like a mullet and everything. And he's holding his favorite drink is Bud Light. Post Malone kind of. He's a big Post Malone fan too. So he's got all that, and he's holding a Bud Light. I was like, bro, you are a summer vibe, my friend. You are a summer vibe. And it's like, he laughed. And he's like, yeah, man, just having fun on my birthday. I was like, yeah. So it was great. He's a good dude. So it's if you can check out youarelovelife.com. You can also check out his YouTube channel. He has mental health stuff as well as where he talks to wrestlers, but then he also started a new venture called Champions Adjust, where he is talking with other baseball players. Jackson, in case you didn't know, was also a professional baseball player for a while. Was in the minor league system, and now he's coaching 13-year-olds. And so they talk a lot about what happens when you don't quite make it and what do you do next. It's a really great, deep dive into some of that stuff and how you deal with that. Me being a former college athlete, I understand that. When your career is over, how do you adjust? How do you deal with that? So make sure you check out Jackson Stone on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. Just a positive, incredibly great dude and doing some incredible things for people around the country. So definitely make sure you're checking him out, supporting him, buy his merch. You Are Loved merch, which is great. And virtual love to you too, Wolfers. If you're here, I just give you a big old bear hug because that's what I do. Screw COVID. So make sure you're checking all that stuff out. And we are working on getting him on the show. Jackson and I have been talking, and he said he's going to get us some more audio clips. But I said, well, we'd love to have you on the show sometime. So him and I are working on a date when we can have him on a Saturday. So that will be cool as well to hear from the man himself, Jackson Stone, everybody.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's all I have for today.
Yeah, and we're just going to close off on this lovely message. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Sonic.
I quite like Wrestle Talk now and again. I'm not going to go back on them too much. I watch their Parts Fun though and stuff quite a lot as well. So keep on them there. But thanks so much for watching this. It's been we absolutely love this when we do this. It's one of my highlights of the weekend when we get to do this. We get to sit down and talk all things Smackdown for that. Yeah. So I'll thank you so much for tuning in. Stick around for everything Smack Attack. We'll always be here to chat with you. So come back with us next week where we talk Foxes back. We've got the breakdown of the post Hell in a Cell, then the post Hell in a Cell Smackdown. So much to get into. So thank you for this. Thank you, John. As always, love chatting to you for this. Thanks for Kiefer for jumping in. That was some great stuff. If you're just jumping in and we're getting to the tail end of this, go back to the beginning. Go back and watch our interview with Kiefer. He had so much great stuff to talk about. We talked a little bit of Smackdown. We talked New Texas Pro Wrestling, being the booker, the owner, what it was like working under Booker T.
And a wrestler. And
being a wrestler as well. So there's so much to get into. It's been a fantastic show. So it's been brilliant. I love it when we do shows like this. I hope we get to do more of these pretty soon for that there. But on that note there, thank you so much for watching. You take care of yourselves. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. And we will see you next week for another edition of the Smack Attack. Cheery.